Listened to and viewed from over 68 countries from around the world, this is the GridCast, and I am your host, Danny Cox. Behind the camera is Tyler McQueen, and with me is my co-host. He's a box owner and a grid enthusiast, and I get a little giddy inside when he's at the bottom of the squat because his butt winks at me. His name is Conan Bruce.
Well, we got to call me out on my butt wink, bro.
The dude's beautiful.
It's a lumbar issue.
You did 300 of them yesterday.
Holy Lord, man. Murph. We did Murph yesterday morning.
It was pretty impressive. It was really fun. So today we are actually going to call out the GridMaster, and we're going to give our season predictions.
Throwing down the gauntlet.
Finally. And then Quadrant 2.
Yeah, Quadrant 2, we're going to go back around to the amateur leagues. Again, reminding you guys, we kind of do this whole macro thing, grid Quadrant 1 to Quadrant 2. There's always plenty of stuff to talk about in the amateur leagues, and we're just going to kind of wrap it up a little bit and talk about the end of the season for SAGL, how cool it is that SAGL is finishing their first season, and we're coming into the second season of the pro leagues.
It's awesome. And then in Quadrant 3, we are talking to the Aussie himself, Mr. Pacific Champion Con Porter. Delicious Con Porter.
Let's just all be happy that we can actually see them. If you're going to listen to the audio version of this, this is the one time you're going to want to go on YouTube and watch.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
He also gives us his best blue steel impression. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and start the show.
We love to lift, laugh, and improve. This is Björk Odinsdatter.
Hey, welcome to Quadrant 1, guys. Here we are, Danny and Con and Tyler on the camera. We are going to throw the gauntlet down, I think, on this quadrant.
GridMaster, I'm calling you out. I don't know who you are, who you think you are, putting all these grand things out on
we truly don't know
social
who it is,
media.
So we're not joking.
But look, you, his, her, whatever you are, we're calling you out, okay? So here's our thing. So
I just let me put this out, GridMaster. A Grid Watcher?
GridMaster.
GridMaster, sorry.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
Two different people.
Yeah.
GridMaster, if you weigh over 300 pounds and can bench press a car, we're saying all this as nice as possible.
Right, yes.
If you can't.
Then it doesn't matter. We got you.
It's all jokes. It's all jokes. It's all jokes.
All right, so
go get him, Danny. Go get him.
Just a fun one. We're just gonna wager a beer at the Anaheim matches at the end of the year.
A good beer like PBR or some shit.
Right. Whoever's closer buys the other a beer. All right.
Cool.
Good deal.
All
right. So in 8th place, unfortunately, this season we're gonna have to put our hands over our hearts.
So so we're going backwards.
We're gonna go backwards.
We're going bottom to top.
Yeah, started from the bottom. Now we're here, right? So we're gonna start.
8th place at the end of the season is,
unfortunately, Baltimore Anthem.
Oh, Garrett, dude.
I know. I'm so sorry, and it hurts to say it, right? I mean, we have our really good friend Tracy Close.
I hope we're wrong on that one.
I hope we're wrong too.
Right.
And
continue on.
But here's the reason why, though. I don't think it's their first season, right? And does everyone remember the beginning of last season and how much of a S show sometimes it was for the teams?
It was a shite show.
For the first couple matches?
Just go back and watch it on YouTube. It's there.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the confusion. You can see the fear in their eyes.
Right.
Right.
And it's their first, try at it. And then you also have all these alpha players on there, on the Baltimore Anthem. I mean, yes, it's an all-star studded cast, but come on now. Right. They all have to now gel together as a team. And I don't know, there's some history with Klokov and coaches before in the past,
man,
right?
You're throwing the Russian down, too.
I am. I'm sorry.
God, it's your boy.
I know, and I really like Klokov, too. That's really difficult for me to say, but it's true. So I think it's going to take him a couple matches to really get going, and I think by that time it's going to be too late. So, unfortunately, I think they're going to be in 8th place.
But it'll be a good learning experience either way. I mean, hopefully that's how they'll take it. I'm sure, and they're all professionals. I mean, Garrett and those guys, the coaching staff is great. They're gonna
prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong.
Yeah.
In 7th place, unfortunately, my grid crush is going to have to settle with 7th place with the New York Rhinos. Yeah, I just don't see a whole lot of change in the team, and I think everyone else developed enough.
Coaching staff?
Well, true. The coaching staff did change, but I still don't think that the players, they still don't have, to me, a good enough closer at the end for the guys.
I think if they take them out to Iceland, all right,
Yep.
And chill out for a while.
And they're supposed to.
And bond like,
Yep.
brothers and sisters.
Yep.
We may not see that 7th place. But I do I get to vote too back and forth? Like if I'm closest, do you and the GridMaster buy me a beer?
I think by proxy you're with me.
All right. I'm trying to be the nice guy though. I want everybody to win. Everybody comes in first.
And I hate to rain on their parade.
Everybody gets a medal.
I hate to rain on their parade, but 6th place is going to be LA Reign.
Did you see what he did there, folks? I don't want to rain on their parade.
They may feel like they have royalty on their team.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they're going to be having to serve as 6th place. But you know what? They did improve from last year because last year they were 0-3.
Right.
So
that's not going to happen this year.
No. They're going to get a little bit better. They did get James Townsend, who is going to be a much better closer for them. And you know what? No matter what, at least they're going to have perfect hair with Noah Olsen.
Yeah.
Right? So not a hair out of place. They're still going to get there. And then 5th place from top of the pack, which means top of the bottom of the pack. Sorry. That means you're kind of average. That would be the Miami Surge.
Oh.
I know. Nicole Capurso was on our show. She was a sweetheart. Like her a whole lot. Now, Willis McGahee, he's going to be a really good addition to the team.
Yeah, but he's raw.
Very raw, which means he's going to be inconsistent. So
if he listens to this, which I doubt he will, but if he does, that just fired him up.
Oh, you know what's really cool, though? So yesterday, our box had the Memorial Day Murph, and that we participated in. Mm-hmm. And we have an NFL player that I'm not going to say who it was, but we had an NFL player.
Just because he doesn't like a lot of attention.
Right.
Yeah, that's
all. Who was at the box, and we started talking about the NPGL and grid with him, and he was like, oh, yeah, that's the thing that Willis McGahee is doing.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, it is.
Word is definitely spreading around the NFL, and this is a guy that's been in the league for a few years. And he used to be in the local area, so if you might even be able to figure out who it is.
Yeah. Now he's playing for a different team. He had to fly out last night.
But, and he improved his Murph time from last year, which I think is pretty sick.
Which is awesome, right?
Yeah.
So getting back to Miami, they also have a new coach in Doug Chapman. And Doug Chapman has been a proven coach in the CrossFit world, but he hasn't done grid yet. So I think that this is going to be a good test. But again, much like Baltimore, I think it's going to take some time for them to kind of ramp up to get going. But I still think they're going to be decent. They're just not going to be at the bottom.
One of the things I want to point out about Coach Chapman is I think he will probably not probably. I would almost guarantee he's going to raise the level of athletics on that team, meaning all the athletes on Miami Surge are going to get better.
Sure.
Right? Now, whether he can parlay that into playing grid better than they did last year. That's the part I think is going to be. That's what I want to watch. Is I want to go back and see did the athletes get better, because I think they will. I think they will perform better, but then everybody is right.
Right.
So everybody's going to perform a little better. Can Coach Chapman and his staff can they figure out the sport of grid fast enough to go, win?
Yeah. No, it's a totally different thing. So they got to refocus that and see what happens. So then
next
in 4th place, drop an anchor, is the Boston Iron.
Drop an anchor. I love all these puns.
I really want to put the Boston Iron higher up.
Top 3.
Yeah, I want to, but the other 3 teams are so difficult to beat. I think that there's these 3 teams, and then I think like the middle is Boston Iron, and everyone else is down on the bottom end right now as far as their development and how I think they're going to do on the grid. I think Plosker's got the right head on his shoulders. He put already did a training camp with the team, way ahead of the other teams in that regard. Also, he concentrated on getting youth into the team. So while they may be 4th this season, in my predictions,
building.
I think next 2 or 3 years they are going to be probably, unfortunately for everyone else, the Patriots of grid.
Oh. Well,
I think they're going to be pretty dominant.
I'm not a Patriots fan, but they got a few
Neither
rings.
am I. If you kind of deflated football.
Oh, let's not put the Iron in the same place as the Patriots then. All right, if we're going to compare the bad part of the Patriots, that's not what we mean, folks.
Look, Dan, don't send me any hate mail, Dan Pius. So, so then
Boston Iron is not going to deflate the bumper plates.
They're not. The bumper plates. All right, so in 3rd place, rising up from the ashes, I see the Phoenix Rise, which is going to be pretty awesome. Yeah. I mean, how can you doubt OPEX, right? You just can't. And I think that they got a bad rap. or bad luck of the draw last year in a couple of their matches, just who they matched up with.
Yeah.
Because if they would have faced anybody else, they would have crushed them. So I think that their record last year is not indicative of how they're going to be this year. I think they're going to be even better this year. And you have also Amanda Goodman. So when we did our show last week, we talked about who made it from the in the regional competition, and
the grid athletes that made it into the regionals.
Yeah, and we missed Amanda Goodman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it crushed me when I saw that.
So now we didn't.
Yeah, no, now we didn't. So Amanda, I think is going to be awesome on the Phoenix Rise. All their players are awesome. And anyway, so then in second place, I see, just like last year, San Francisco Fire. Now, here's the reason why. Not that they have, they do have some all-star players, but also that team gels together like none other team that we see in the NPGL. When you take your players and you bring them to spa days as a team building thing.
I want to be in San Francisco.
I know, right?
I want to be on their team. Can I be the water boy?
Yeah, and they also have the it factor.
Yeah.
There's just something about them.
Something about them.
Yeah, so I really see them doing very well. I see them, unfortunately, losing in the championships once again to the DC Brawlers.
Yeah.
DC Brawlers being number one.
Gosh.
I know, and you may call me a homeboy, but by the way, just to remind you, our friend is on the Baltimore Anthem, right?
Yeah.
And we're good friends with Garrett and everyone out there, and I'm putting them in 8th. So
yeah, I would say that we've definitely developed good relationships with just about every team. So we have people on every team that we really truly call friends and are great people, and a lot of the management and staff. So when we call these folks out, this is just the strict analysis.
Yeah.
This is it. It's what our gut is telling us. I know. blah, 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 blah.
Are you okay this morning?
Yeah. I haven't.
Do you need some coffee?
I haven't. I probably need some Jack 5. No. I definitely think these the top half that we've talked about.
Yeah.
That's it. That's gonna happen.
Yep.
Now, if we might be a little off because somebody's gonna falter or something's gonna change up through the season, and we're doing this preseason, so anything can happen.
Oh, anything.
Right. But
injuries. There's lots of stuff that can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen. But man, when you look at the San Francisco Fire and you look at the DC Brawlers, there's some trends there that you see. You see some solid coaching. You see a team that was built like a family.
Well, we've also seen that strong females is really important in this league.
Yeah, when we got on both those teams.
Yeah, well, you have Becca Day that was added to the already strong female cast of the DC Brawlers.
And who else on DC Brawlers?
Oh, well, of course, Taylor Stallings, right?
I'm talking about it was added.
Oh, who was added? Well, you also had Cassidy Lance taking the place of Lindsay Maneri. Now, that's going to be the one big hit. Lindsay Maneri is in my opinion, probably the best player in the entire league.
Yeah, but they kept her as a coach, so hopefully she'll be able to impart some of that. Some of that.
But Cassidy Lance is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
She can throw it down.
Maddie Rasnick.
Oh, and Maddie Rasnick. Good Lord.
Can we get any stronger?
Good Lord, you're right. Oh, my God.
So if you look at the girls on that team, every team is going to be trying to figure out how. When you do the ladders, right, and you're adding up those points when you're going guys versus girls, and the girls' points count, more.
Yeah.
I
know.
How are you going to be able to keep up with that?
That's insane. No, you can't.
So
and then on top of that, Con Porter got better this year.
Yeah.
Look at him. He just won the Pacific region in
I think
Australia.
he's definitely one to watch. I don't think people give him enough credit as far as. And then when I meet the guy, you see the guy, you talk to the guy. He's not like huge, right? He doesn't look like Rich Froning, like he doesn't look like a tree trunk.
Well, yeah.
Right? But he is. He's strong. He's fast, and he's fit, and that plays out. The fact that he won regionals is not unbelievable because we thought that was going to happen. But what I think is great is he competes in CrossFit that way. In grid, he's faster. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can see that in event number 7 at the regionals last for the CrossFit Games.
He owned it. He owned it.
Oh, yeah, it was incredible. And he's also getting a lot of his coaching from Justin Kotler, even for CrossFit as well, on top of grid.
Oh, yeah. The coaches for DC Brawlers. And I think a lot of the coaches, obviously Coach Chapman and others, are also coaching
OPEX,
athletes in the CrossFit Open, regionals, and now some of them are moving on to the games.
Yep.
I'm with you with our home team, DC Brawlers. They're going to kick butt. Another thing that's interesting. So back to the trends between the Fire and the Brawlers.
Yep.
You've got the family atmosphere. You've got the really tight the coaching staff. And then these are the two places that have worked really hard to build facilities for their players.
Yes.
Right? So way early on, San Francisco Fire created the Firehouse.
Yeah.
So, they're out. They've got a place to train. We know that DC's been working on the same thing, and they're probably going to have one this season. So that's something for the other teams to think about. It's very difficult to do, and you don't have to have, everything perfect like you would on an NPGL grid, but you have to have a place to train where you can kind of run through these things and work together as a team and work out the timing issues and all that sort of stuff. It puts you a step ahead.
Absolutely. So, GridMaster, you now see our predictions. I know you're finishing up your last few that you're going to put out the next couple of weeks, but the gauntlet has been thrown down. And just as a recap, 8th place Baltimore, 7th place New York, 6th place LA Reign, 5th place Miami, 4th place Boston Iron, 3rd Phoenix Rise, 2nd San Fran, and 1st DC Brawlers.
Let's see how it rolls out.
All right, so let's head on over to Quadrant 2. So that was really fun calling out the GridMaster in Quadrant 1. But in Quadrant 2, we're going to talk a little bit more about the amateur leagues, the birth of the amateur leagues, and then some cool that's happened out of SAGL. So go ahead.
What's happening in SAGL?
Well, no, the All-Stars. All-Star
the championships.
match. Oh, yeah, and the championships this weekend.
I'm joking. Yeah.
I hear a little scratchy-scratch on your beard.
Oh, it's on my
beard.
beard.
There you go.
So I keep getting called out on, thankfully they're not doing it like publicly on our page, but I guess that I do this a lot and I adjust it and then while we're, on the video, but I'm always forgetting that people are watching.
Right, yeah,
right?
me too.
I'm just like, we're just talking. It's just Danny and I sitting here, BSing, but sorry if I play with my headset all the time. It just feels weird on my head.
And if you see my hand reach over this way, it's an accident.
I used to do it with my football.
Doesn't
helmet.
always happen.
I would grab the front of it and move it around all the time.
Yeah.
And what's funny is they'd make fun of me about it because what does it matter how the kicker's helmet fits?
That's right. You were the kicker.
I was the kicker, and they were like, dude, why do you care how it feels when it's on your head? It's on your head 30 seconds.
Right.
You walk out there, kick the ball, and walk back in. I'm like, I know, but it just itches.
Why do you even wear a helmet?
Exactly. Because you do get hit every once in a while. I wasn't a punter, though. Back to the amateur leagues.
Right, yes.
Again, we're working on the amateur league network for the GridCast. We've got 3 separate leagues covered right now. We got the East Coast covered, so we're going to have podcasters, audio-only podcasts, in all 3 of those regions. We're going to announce that soon, but the reason we've been holding back is because we really, really, really want to get the West Coast covered and not just focus on the East Coast, but it looks like we may have to start without it if we don't get somebody to help us out. So if you guys know anybody that is they need to have podcasting experience, they need to have the right equipment.
Yep.
And can't just be your phone.
Yeah, we've had some interest. But it just hasn't really kind of.
We need the quality.
Got there yet, right?
Yeah, we need the quality, and we need a good personality, and we also need somebody that understands about grid. And so we've got the East Coast leagues covered. Now we need to get the WAGL.
Yeah, around the San Francisco area and around the LA area.
Yeah, and so anyway, hit us up on social media if you're interested or you know someone that might be. And yeah, it is so. We've been through an entire season of the Pro League, and we're getting ready to start the second season, and we're finishing the first season of the first amateur league, which was the SAGL.
Woo!
They are the OGs of the amateur leagues, and that's where we started. We went down to Columbia, South Carolina. We saw their invitational, and it was really what sparked this whole GridCast thing. And it was interesting because they did a great job. So don't take any of this negatively, but you could definitely tell, like it was just like. I mean, it was tough for them to put that together, right? As it would be for anybody.
Of course.
So we didn't really expect like a lot, because you think, hey, this is. But you know what? I got to give props to the SAGL because, and I think anybody that's interested, and this is the topic we're going to, is anybody that's interested in starting an amateur league, and we know that there are a lot of you out there because you see the opportunity and you want to do it. So listen closely over the next few minutes. So the SAGL took their time. Right?
Yes, they did.
They took their time.
Think about it. November was that first combine.
Right.
Or no, it wasn't a combine. It was a tournament.
It was just an invitational. It wasn't even
right.
it wasn't the teams that were going to be later. Some of them turned out to be the same teams.
Right.
But it wasn't the formal teams already. It was just an invitational, a tournament, come out, play grid. Bottom line is they took their time. They let this thing evolve. And look, they've had a great, successful season. Their championships, when this airs, this will come out on a Wednesday. This coming weekend is going to be their championships. Going to be the Carolina Thunder and the Atlanta Assassins.
Woo!
Yeah, and if you haven't kept up with the SAGL, go back and check out their website. They've got all the different They've got a lot of good content on there. And one of the things that they did I think is really cool is they decided to have the fans vote on a all-star team.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because then you don't pick them, right, and let the fans pick it. And then the fans picked 6 guys, 6 girls, and they're going to pair them up. We assume it's not listed that way on the website, but it's going to be 3 and 3 on each team.
Right.
From the north and from the south, they're going to go head-to-head before the championship match.
It'd be really fun.
Yeah, so you got – and I'm going to mess up some of these names. And actually, Danny has better eyes than
Thanks.
The old man's going to let
So for the dudes, we have Brandon Bergen. We have Hamilton Broadnax. Oh, I'm sure I messed up that name. And Jared Butler. Jason Garrard. Cliff Kohut, which I think was picked up by somebody. I can't remember offhand which team it was. And Marty Rotan. So those are the dudes.
Yep. And for the girls?
And for the ladies, we have Chavez Freeman, Whitney Yellen, also someone who was picked up, Lara Brennan, Michelle Crawford, Rachel Finlayson, and Drew Mazeka.
And I think that's the same Michelle Crawford that has been in several CrossFit regionals, games.
Yep.
It's good.
I think so.
Unbelievable CrossFit athlete. So while we point that out, first of all, I wanted to give those athletes a shout out because I think it's pretty cool that give them a little attention because the fans picked them. They're in an all-star match. They're all great athletes. I wish we could make it down to Columbia to watch that. Our gym is moving that weekend, so I got to be here.
Yeah, there's no chance, unfortunately. I wish there was a way to do it.
So SAGL, guys, we would be down there for sure if we weren't moving the entire facility somewhere else, and that's what we're doing this weekend.
Which is going to be awesome when it's all said and done, just FYI.
Yeah, well, so I'll take a little self-serving shout-out here.
You should.
And just tell everybody that CrossFit in Providence is moving basically less than 2 miles away from our current location, which is not a big deal for most of you watching. You don't live in this area. But what we think is cool about it is the reason we're moving is we're building a grid training facility in our box.
Talk about going all in.
Yeah. So
right? We are all in.
Can't get out all the details, but the bottom line is we'll have a full professional grid rig, which is already we already have it. And we're gonna put that up in the facility. We're still gonna have it's still gonna be a CrossFit box. We love CrossFit. Been a CrossFit affiliate for over 5 years. Wouldn't change that for the world. So we're going to be a CrossFit affiliate, but we knew the East Coast, particularly where we're at in the middle of the East Coast, would be a great place to have a grid facility because eventually you're going to have traveling teams, right? You're going to have home matches. We've got 2 teams very close with Baltimore and D.C. We know they're looking at making their own facilities, but there's going to be a need, right? There's going to be an obvious need to have teams that are training, particularly when they're on the road. And then if you only have one facility, then it's great to have multiple ones because then teams can separate and train in different places, right?
Right. Right now on the West Coast, you have the Firehouse.
Yeah, so there's already one on the East Coast
now. We're going to have it at Providence Gym.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and we'll probably, more than likely, we'll be hosting or there'll be the venue for the MAGL, the Mid-Atlantic Grid League. The southern part, eventually there'll be a northern part. But anyway, just to give you guys some insight what's going on with that. Obviously, we're all in when it comes to grid. We do the GridCast. My gym bought a team in the MAGL. We're just trying basically to do anything we can to support the sport.
Yep.
So back to the amateur grid leagues and in general, right? So we get hit up all the time on social media, and we love it, by the way. People asking us questions and asking us for our opinions about this sort of thing. So although we did a GridCast or an off the grid several months ago talking about amateur leagues, and we also talked about it in the last couple episodes, one of the things I keep hearing questions about is if you were going to start a league, like what would I do, right? So this is obviously, we're not experts in anything, much less experts in grid.
Right.
Okay.
Truth.
I mean, Danny can pick the winners, but so don't take this as
maybe that hasn't been proven yet.
So don't take this in stone. Just say that, hey, this is some thoughts. If you're thinking about starting a grid league, first and foremost, number one thing, right? Take your time. Just slow down. All right.
Slow your roll.
Slow your roll, man. Slow your roll. Too many people are calling us up or emailing us or hitting us up on Facebook, and they're talking about starting a season in 3 months.
Seriously, that's crazy.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Right? Don't try to start a season. What you want to do is, first of all, you want to build interest in your area in grid. The only not the only way. What we think is the best way to do that is to have some grid races.
Yep.
So start doing grid races at whatever you're probably at a CrossFit gym or a box or a strength and conditioning facility. Start doing races. Start doing Friday night lights, that kind of stuff, and have races.
Heck yeah.
And then build that into an invitational or a tournament, much like what SAGL did, like what WAGL and Grid Ireland. A lot of the more established leagues, they're not even a year old. Right. The folks that are already out there doing it have some sort of a informal but formal tournament, right?
Yes.
Meaning, what I mean by that is it doesn't have to be, a team with a general manager and a coach and a sponsor and all this stuff yet, okay? Just get people together as a team, co-ed, do the grid races as they're designed, right? Take the 11 races, make it a shorter format if you have to, but do the grid races. So first and foremost, take your time. Find somebody that's got some organizational skills. Don't do this on your own. Get a couple buddies together. Somebody that's good at management. Somebody that's got a personality that can go out there and get sponsors eventually.
Which, by the way, if you try to tackle this on your own, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah,
you have no idea the phone calls.
Just ask Alan Fitzpatrick over in Ireland. I mean, he's not doing it all himself, but pretty darn close, right? He's hustling.
Yeah.
He's hustling.
Well, he's a fireball. I don't know how he does it.
Lots of Jameson.
I'm assuming.
So then you put together some structure, right? How many teams do you want to have? Start defining your geographical area, and that may be defined for you because there's already leagues around you. And then have that tournament, okay? After that, after you've got built the entrance, then you can do a combine. Then you've got plenty of athletes that are interested in doing it. Have a combine. Get some people out to scout some players. All the way through this, you're already going to have people that have interest.
Which is perfect, by the way, because then what you have is each team that's out there that's interested in forming a team, now you have the structure in place for them to even look at people who are at a combine. If you just try to throw the season together and you don't have all of that infrastructure set up, who knows what these people are going to get on those teams?
Yeah, not only the infrastructure, but just having the number of athletes, right? So you need a pool of athletes. If 12 people show up and you say you're going to have 20 teams,
right,
that's not going to happen,
right?
Right. So the only way you get a bunch of athletes is to get a bunch of interest. So get up a bunch of interest in grid in your area. Then you can have a combine. Test out your athletes, all right, so you know who are the good athletes and who aren't, and then identify your teams. So after you get a combine, after you've had your tournament, then start identifying teams. And when you identify those teams, start to look, when you pick teams with good management and good coaching, right? Because if you don't have that, the teams won't make it. They just won't. I don't care how great athletes they have, a great athlete pool. If you don't have solid management and solid coaching, it's going to fall apart. The moment you hit adversity, the moment you lose a sponsor, the moment if you lose a couple of good athletes, it's going to fall apart.
Yeah, and the proverbial S hits the fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to be able to have a good foundation.
So have some good management, have some good coaching, and then get some good funding.
Yes.
Make sure there's some money somewhere. I mean, it doesn't have to be – don't make the league so expensive, the amateur league so expensive that it becomes a –
Cost prohibitive?
Yeah.
Cost prohibitive?
One of those.
That.
Barrier to entry. Don't make it a barrier to entry. Keep it low-key. Don't make it expensive. Just get the teams together.
And to get money, there's also very creative ways for people to be able to get the funding they need.
Oh, for sure.
Tons of creative ways that people need to start thinking about. I mean, there's local – since now you're talking about local people, right?
You
have local dealerships. You have local companies that are trying to make a name for themselves. Anything in your local community, and you know who they are. If you live and breathe in that community and you're a part of it, then you know who those people are that you can approach.
I promise you guys out there, if you talk to the pro teams, they'll tell you it's much easier. When they approach a sponsor, they would rather sponsor a local team, a regional team, than some pro team. Because they know that the advertising they're going to get out of it is going to be all over the place. They would rather do a local team that they know. That's why everybody, you get businesses that sponsor local football youth leagues.
Yes.
Because it's there, right?
Yeah, it's easy.
So it's the same principle.
Mom and pop pizza joint down the street.
So once you start putting these teams together, give them time to develop. Give them time to train. Then have your first season. So what if it takes, another 9 months? Right before your first season. That's okay. You're going to have a season that doesn't fail. You're going to have a season that works well. You're going to have a season like the SAGL,
right,
who did it right, who started last November. Here it is June, almost June.
Right, almost June. Close.
It's almost June, and they're going to be finally finishing their first season, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be a flash in the pan.
No, and
you need to have a good, solid build to have a great future.
Yeah, and keep mindful about travel and all that sort of things for the teams. You've got to make it doable for the teams. And then no matter what you do, even if you do everything perfect, right, there's still going to be issues that are going to happen. Let me tell you what's going to happen. The best, even though the league tries to get teams with good management, there's going to be one or two that sneak in that suck, right?
Yep.
The management's going to suck, and the team will fall apart, and then somebody will either A, have to come in and pick it up, or B, the team will just go away. We've seen that happen in the pro leagues. We're going to see it happen in the amateur leagues. The second thing is just to remember that athletes are going to have life issues. They have jobs. These aren't professionals, and even if they are professionals, the pros have jobs too.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and back to the funding just for a quick second, because one of the key things you want to be able to do for your athletes is try your best to cover their travel expenses, because that's where it's going to eat away at them.
Yes.
Right? If they have to kick in for gas and food and hotel and all these things, their life's going to be miserable.
Right. When they're already missing out their weekend because of the stuff that you normally try to do to catch up for the week.
They're training when the kids are home eating dinner. They're out training.
Yeah.
So there's all these things they're going to be giving up. Cover those travel costs as best you can. But, okay, athletes are going to have life issues. And here's another thing. Athletes are going to get picked up to the pro league.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Which is a great problem to have.
Yeah, of course it is. But it's just like being in your senior year in college and half your, being a college team and half your team are seniors.
Yes.
And you win the championship drafted. And they're gone.
Yeah.
Right? So that's going to happen in the amateur leagues, especially if you have a good team.
Yeah, well, you can look at the Carolina Thunder.
Yeah, I think we read somewhere where they picked up like seven people from the Carolina Thunder have gotten picked up. Like,
who's left?
Yeah, right. Do you have
no offense, guys.
Yeah,
no
you have
offense.
a whole new team now?
Yeah.
Well, probably some of them were just finishing out the season because they're not truly pros yet.
Right.
Until they go, until we haven't looked through the names to see if that's the case. But anyway, bottom line is they're going to get picked up. So now you're going to have that churn until there's no churn on the pro leagues, pro teams. There's going to be churn at in the amateur league. So you got to take all that into account. Back to the number one rule: take your time.
Take your time. This is a business, and we've talked about it before. Yeah. No matter what, this is a business. All the pro teams, those are separate businesses, and you have to approach it the right way.
So we kind of just gave you guys our viewpoint of the life cycle of starting up an amateur league. If you guys have any input, some of the folks that have actually done it, then hit us up. More to come on the GridCast Amateur League Network, which will be starting here within the next month, and we're excited about that. And I'm really excited about our next guest.
Yes, I'm so excited about it too. So without further ado, let's kick it on over to Quadrant 3.
Con Porter.
Our next guest is one of the most photogenic people you will ever meet. Last year, he was a rookie at the Reebok CrossFit Games in Carson, California. This year, he won an emotional victory to win the Pacific Regionals. From the DC Brawlers, it's the McDreamy of Grid, Con Porter. How you doing, bud?
Hi, how's it going?
Man, it's awesome to have you on the show. Thank you for making the time. So, it's late at night out there, and the sun is just coming up over the horizon out here. So, it's pretty cool. We're able to speak to you from across the globe here. So this
lately 24. It's like a 12-hour split. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. So this year particularly seemed to be more of an emotional win at the Pacific Regionals. Can you take us through what happened and why it's so emotional for you?
Yeah, it was a pretty big weekend. Just a pretty big build up for me, pretty big lead up. Just a lot of sort of stuff going on outside of CrossFit for me. In my personal life, and so I you know what, the workouts were announced. There wasn't particularly anything that was amazing for me in there, but there wasn't really anything except the handstand walk. Handstand walks are a huge weakness of mine, so I definitely didn't go into the weekend expecting to be able to win. I kind of was going in hoping and praying I'd even be able to get back to the games, and like I said, I'd had a pretty big couple of weeks in the lead up. So, I think once I kind of figured out that I'd won after the last event, I was just a little bit overwhelmed. And, so it was a pretty emotional victory in that respect.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations on that. I think it's pretty awesome. So we reached out to the social media community and asked a few people if they wanted to ask a couple questions. And Kenny Cox asked if grid training helped you with CrossFit, because he noticed that athletes like Ben Gerard and you and Easy Muhammad are continually crushing event number 7. And do you think that is a function of fast-paced cycling from grid training?
Yep. Yeah, I think it definitely has. It's definitely helped with my strength and my explosivity. I mean, just being able to rip those bars in training. I went a lot faster in training. Benny and I did that workout head to head in practice. I'm good mates with Benny, and we were 1 second apart. And then on the day, I think I'd kind of gone into that workout. I kind of went into the final day thinking that I pretty much had seconds sewn up. I had probably enough of a point gap to. I knew that both workouts on the third day were good for me, and kind of went in just thinking as long as I just perform in both of them, I should be fine in terms of like keeping second place. So I kind of went into the final with the idea being that I just wanted to go through mistake free. I'd seen a couple of guys try to move too fast and like miss the last clean. And even though I hadn't done it, I'd done it pretty quickly in training. I think Benny got it done, so we didn't run to the rings. But Benny got it done in 109 and I went 110 in training. So I knew I could get it done fast if I really wanted to, but I just thought it's better off to kind of undershoot it and not miss that lift and potentially cost myself the second spot. So I just kind of cruised through the muscle ups. I got a no rep on the muscle ups, so I had to do a 16th rep. That slowed me down a little bit and meant that I had to just take that little bit more time with the bars. But I mean, you watch Benny do it, he just flies through it. He's so explosive as well, just able to cycle those barbells and just rip. And I think, if anything, it's just the tenacity of the grid as well. I mean, that ability to just pump yourself up, to just go out there and hit that red line and suck it up, get into the hurt locker and just go hard. That's definitely something that I've done with the grid. I've learned through the grid as well.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And it's really apparent when we see that, because we've seen a lot of athletes from grid just absolutely crush that event. So that's really cool. So Mo Dingo, another friend of the show, wants to know what your cheat day staples are.
My what, sorry?
Your cheat day staples, when you go off the wagon nutritionally.
So what I eat on a day-to-day basis?
No, what you do on the treat days.
I don't really have treat days. I kind of eat whatever I want, whenever I want. Hey, like what I eat today. Today for breakfast I had like a big breakfast type thing, a couple of coffees, and then for lunch I had a hamburger. Getting pizza for dinner tonight probably. Like that's like a pretty typical day for me. I kind of just eat what I want. As long as I'm getting enough protein in, it's kind of free game from there on out. I train such high volume that I don't know, like probably off the bandwagon. If I really went off the bandwagon, I had a meat pie yesterday. Did you guys have meat pies over there?
I don't know if we have meat pies over here. I don't think it's the same thing I'm thinking of.
No, well, we have meat pies and they're the best. It's
all right.
Yeah, I had one of those yesterday. I guess I don't normally eat them, but like I said, I don't particularly follow a very strict diet at all. Kind of drink a couple of beers a few nights a week as well. But yeah, I guess maybe really off the bandwagon is if I get like pretty drunk. That would be like a getting rarer occurrence at the moment.
Right, yeah. So last year at the Reebok CrossFit Games, I noticed these two people in these fantastic singlets dancing their butts off in the finals. And then I learned through a friend of mine, Jack Bundy, that they're friends of yours.
Yes.
Will they return to the games this next year?
I am pretty sure the boys are coming back over this year. There was talks of it definitely, and I think after I took the victory, there's a crew potentially joined by another 3 of my really good mates as well. So you might have 6 loud, out of control Aussies in the crowd with their singlets and.
Please tell me they all have to be in neon singlets this year. They need to have all neon singlets this year, all blaring bright.
Yeah, I mean. I think they've got the same ones. They're possibly going to have to add a couple more to the collection. But believe it or not, one of those guys, Matt Healy, is actually one of my training partners. He's actually injured at the moment, so wasn't able to compete this year. But he's a legit athlete, like a really, really good athlete. And I'm pretty excited. I'm hoping he's looking to maybe try out for the grid next year. And I think he would be like, he's a ridiculous gymnastics freak. He's he's really, really good. And
awesome.
Fun muck.
That'd be really cool. Hopefully he can show up to the grid wearing that awesome singlet then. I don't know if High Lead would like that or not.
I feel like that could be a good uniform. You get High Lead onto that.
Right? So how many days a week do you train? So our friend Monica Rockwell, by the way, a friend of the show, also asked, how many days a week are you training right now?
How many days a week? Sort of training, it varies. I'm pretty good at listening to my body. Been working with Coach Kotler, Justin Kotler from the Brawlers, who's been doing my CrossFit programming. He's been doing that since the start of this year. I was doing all my own. I had a coach leading up to the games last year, and then after the games, just kind of went off on my own. Did my own thing until the start of this year, and then just kind of got sick of having to come up with my own stuff every day when I'm programming and coaching other people as well. So, yeah, I just spoke to Kotler, and he said he would be pretty keen to take that on. And we kind of set ourselves the goal of obviously winning the region and then going top 10 at the games. So, yeah, we usually go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with like an active recovery day Thursday. Then again, Friday, Saturday, and a full rest day Sunday. But again, I'll listen to my body. If I'm feeling beat up by Thursday, I might take a full rest day. If I'm feeling beat up by Wednesday, I'll do that. Because that's something that I definitely didn't do last year. And so leading into the games, I was pretty beat up. Like I was, kind of fringing on overtrained and a lot of little niggling injuries. So I definitely don't want to be in the same position this year.
Right. Well, on your CrossFit profile online, you made a pretty bold statement, and you said that you were the 1999 Egg and Spoon runner-up.
Yep.
And I just wanted to know if you have tried that since, if you can still claim as being amazing at Egg and Spoon races.
Well, you know what? I don't take defeats really well. So after being the runner-up in the 1998 Egg and Spoon race at my primary school, I kind of decided that, you know what, I wasn't quite good enough to take up competitive egg and spooning. So I put the cutlery down and retired to sports like rugby and surf life saving instead.
You know, so rugby and surfing, is that something you do outside of CrossFit on the regular?
Yeah, I still surf, but I don't play rugby anymore. I played rugby at a relatively competitive level all through high school and then just after high school. And I was involved in surf lifesaving competitions as well, which is kind of like, I think you guys have lifeguarding competitions, which is probably the similar thing we have. And then I also played rugby union I said rugby union. Yeah, I've surfed since I was about 9 years old. I still surf as regularly as I can. But, I find that it's a nice way to relax and unwind. It's a bit cold here in the moment. It's just coming into winter here, so it's fucking freezing in the water.
Oh, I bet it is. But I bet in Carson, California, you're hoping for more swimming events, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the swim was my favorite event at the games last year. It was a really nice way to kick off my first ever games. I took fourth in that. I was second out of the water on both the swims behind Troyan. But then a couple of the other guys got me on the land, like Josh Bridges and Yanakoski got me at the burpees and the thrusters. But with I guess Troyan not going back this year and Bridges not going back this year, if there's a swim event, I'd be hopefully looking to grab a quick 100 points with that one.
Heck yeah. All right, man. So we have a certain section whenever we interview someone for the show. The section is called Gridlock. So it's fast 10-paced questions, or 10 questions, fast-paced, usually yes or no questions, maybe option of 3 or so. So you ready for Gridlock?
Absolutely. Let's fire away.
All right. So we've heard that you have nutrition of a chubby 14-year-old boy. If you had to choose a candy bar, which would it be? Violet crumble, cherry pie, cherry ripe, or a flake?
Flake.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Hungry Jack's, KFC, or McDonald's?
Ooh, KFC.
Give me your favorite beer. Toohey's New, Cooper's Brewery Original Pale Ale, or Budweiser?
They're all terrible.
Which one's your favorite?
Stone and Wood Pacific Ale.
Nice. Chuck Taylor's or Nanos?
Nikes.
Would you actually like to put another shrimp on the Barbie? Yes or no?
We don't call them shrimp, we call them prawns.
Thank you. That's awesome. So Derek Zoolander has a patented model look called Blue Steel. What's yours, and could you demonstrate it?
I tend to... I get paid up because I tend to look down and to the left.
That's great. If you and Justin Kotler were to sing a duet, would you pull from artists of Michael Jackson, Iggy Azalea, or Cody Simpson?
I feel like we could probably get some sort of duet going where like Iggy Azalea and someone else do it, and then one of us can sing one part, one of us can sing the other. She's Aussie as well, so it would be rude not to.
Nice. And yes or no, if we went camping together, would you just keep talking so we can hear your Australian accent, and would that be weird?
You would be surprised how many times people ask me to just keep talking. So, yeah, sure. If that's what you wanted to amuse us and there was not much else to do while we were camping, sure, happy to keep talking, bro.
And then who's going to win the Pinnacle Trophy for the 2015 Grid season?
I feel like that doesn't even need to be answered. The Brawlers, of course.
Of course, the Brawlers. Well, thanks a lot for joining us on the show, Con. I really appreciate it. And congratulations on your victory in the Pacific region. I can't wait to watch you at the Reebok CrossFit Games in Carson.
No, thanks, mate. Thank you so much for having me, and I'll see you guys over in the States very shortly.
All right, sounds good, man. Thanks a lot.
See you, buddy. Bye.
Bye. Con!
God, that was loud.
It was really loud. Sorry if I blew out your ears there. I even tried to turn the gain down before I did it.
So Danny tried to set up Con for a little, what we think is a little Trekkie humor, and Star Wars or Star Trek.
Yeah, during Gridlock.
Yeah, and he chose Star Wars, and Danny was like, I wasn't going to be able to do the. If you don't know, that's in Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan. And I think there's going to be a lot of memes out there.
Nerd.
There's a lot of memes out there during the CrossFit Games. The Wrath of Khan.
Yes. Oh, and I really can't wait because last year at the CrossFit Games, he had a couple of his friends, and I mentioned it on the show, but he had a couple of his friends in singlets out there, and he said that he's going to have a few more out. So there's going to be like 5 guys in singlets running around, dancing and getting on the. Oh my
we
God,
might be
so
2
much
of
fun.
them because we're going to be at the CrossFit Games.
I'm going to. I don't know. I can't say that.
I'm going to be at the CrossFit Games. I know that.
I hope to be at the CrossFit Games.
Danny hopes to be. I already got my Airbnb place picked out. We got a little jacuzzi in the backyard.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I also picked out my banana hammock, but
he's not staying with me though. I got a chick.
As far as
a
he
hot
knows.
Chick.
As far as he knows.
I got Anna Banana coming with me.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. All right. So anyway,
where were we? We're in quadrant 4.
so
we're done. We're done.
Yep.
And we always screw this up because, being the professionals that we are, we should remind you at the beginning of the podcast. If you're still listening, if 3 of you that are still listening by the end of this.
3, 1.
Okay. Please share with your friends. Go on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. If you don't want to give us a 5-star review, then don't put it there. Just send us the hate mail.
Right. And then we'll try to adjust or say F you. One or the other.
And we have made adjustments though, and people give us good feedback.
Absolutely, and I say that just tongue in cheek because we have actually gotten some really good feedback, and we've incorporated it on the show, so we're pretty happy.
By the time this comes out, we'll be looking at. Well, it comes out tomorrow. We're doing this on Tuesday. The funny story though about getting Con set up for for the show is we had just finished doing Murph Memorial Day Murph. That was yesterday on Monday. And so Danny and I were pretty wrecked, but I was totally wrecked because, broken back syndrome. I go home and everything locks up, and I'm literally laid out on the floor, texting Con going, and now they're a day ahead, right? It's already Tuesday for him.
Right.
And he's starting his day at 7 a.m., and we're trying to figure out, okay, when can we do this?
So he's on his back. I was at a slip and slide beer flip cup tournament. Right?
Professional.
This is how we, celebrated the beginning of summer.
Yeah, after Murph. I was the post Murph,
Well, because everyone knows that what you don't do after Murph is go sit down.
No, you got.
If you go sit down, you're screwed. So
it's like this guy. I had to go home because I had to take the little one and go put her down for a nap, and that did not work out well because I couldn't get off the floor.
We set up a 27-foot slide, right? And we went totally ghetto on it because we put soap and water on it, and we just kept spraying it down. We ran out of the big bottle of soap. Had to keep going with it.
There's videos of it on your Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So you should check it out.
Crushed lots and lots of Bud Light. Horrible beer, but
yeah, my oldest, one of our oldest daughters, she's 16. She was out there and she was like, "And Dad, there was only 4 or 5 inappropriate comments the whole time. That's all."
I was probably 4 out of the 5.
There was a couple of nip slips. And
sorry, honey.
But anyway. I had a good time, and we're grateful for Con coming on.
And thank God Con didn't say, "You know what, I'm ready right now," because neither one of us were prepared for that one.
No, but that's just how the show goes. So thanks for joining us this week. Looking forward to being at June 12th. Is it 12th, 13th, 14th?
Well, 13th and 14th of the matches. We're going to be there the 12th.
We're going to be out in San Francisco. So if you see us at the Fit Expo, San Francisco, or San Jose Fit Expo,
yep.
Please come up, say hello, and we'd
especially if you want to do a podcast.
Yeah, especially when we do a podcast in San Jose or San Francisco.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be out there for that, and lots of good things coming up, and just keep watching.
So until next time, clean up your jerks and snatches, drink your beer and batches, and always dominate your good matches. See you guys.